The Tobago region of the Anglican Church celebrates a season of healing. Gathering of the Pilgrims 2026. Lift your voice on Sunday 15th March from 8 a.m. at the Shore Park Complex in praise and worship and intercession at our healing service, featuring the Tobago Regional Choir and the Music Ministry. Our chief celebrant is our very own Bishop, Right Reverend Claude Berkeley. Let's fellowship, lay your burdens down, and make a joyful noise, giving praise for the breakthrough and deliverance in the midst. This is a season of healing. Sunday, 15th March, 8 a.m., Gathering of the Pilgrims.
When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I.
Welcome back, viewers, and thank you for staying with us. Joining me this morning is Miss Reynel Clarke, and I must wish her a grand rising.
Thank you, Natalie.
It's always a pleasure to have Reynel, whether it's in studio, we just bounce each other up somewhere in Scarborough and having a conversation. But she's here to tell us about something very special that's happening this weekend. And Reynel is a member of the planning committee. You would have seen the promo just a few seconds ago of a special event that is happening within the Anglican Church right here in Tobago. And this morning, I must acknowledge the leaders and members of the Anglican Church. So a special grand rising to you. And of course, the Right Reverend Claude Berkeley, the Bishop of Trinidad and Tobago. And, you know, he's someone who I would have interviewed in the past, you know, and I'm always intrigued by his story from his change in profession, you know, how he accepted the calling to serve God. And so just, you know, a special good morning to you, sir. So, Reynel, let's get right into it. The Gathering of the Pilgrims, a season of healing. When I saw this promo, it felt very powerful to me. Amen. Just reading it, you know, the Gathering of the Pilgrims. And we're talking about a season of healing. Why is there a need for the Anglican Church to host such a service? And, you know, what is the hope of the Anglican Church in planning something like this?
Thanks for that question, Natalie. So in conversation with the Archdeacon Tobago, Philip Isaac, he explained that it's plain to see when you look around Trinidad and Tobago, you look around our region, you look around the world, there's a lot of discomfort, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of suffering, discord. There are a lot of war-torn countries, war-torn territories, and he felt that within the Anglican Church, the onus is on us to do something as the body of Christ. So the healing service focuses on healing every part of the being, the mind, the body, soul, and the intention is that the ripple effects will touch our community in Tobago.
Right, and I like how you mentioned that healing, because I think for many Christians or even anybody of faith, actually, when we talk about services and healing, I think we think of, you know, physical sickness many times, but you mentioned the healing of the mind, you know, so really as an individual, we are that holistic being. And I think that is something that, you know, we should be able to tap into. Now, of course, we know that the Anglican Church is spearheading this. Is this healing service only for Anglicans?
Absolutely not. So anyone who wants to come in front for a blessing, as Iowa George say, Iowa will not be performing. It's not that kind of function. Come in front for a blessing on Sunday at Shore Park. Right. It's open to anyone. We invited a few other denominations to the Tobago Council of Churches and one other group, I think it's Mission Tobago. Archdeacon referred to it as, don't hold me to that, but it's an open invitation.
And you mentioned Sunday, so tell us, you know, the time, the location for persons who may be hearing about this for the very first time. How can they be a part of that special service?
Gathering of the Pilgrims will be hosted at the Shore Park Complex on Sunday from 8 a.m. It's a healing service, as we mentioned before. Gathering of the Pilgrims started as a fellowship event. It's the primary fellowship event of the Anglican Church in Tobago. There are two, this and our regional family day, which is held in September.
Right.
But it was conceptualized by Archdeacon Isaac. Many years ago, he started in his parish of St. David, visiting other parishes, because there are 21 Anglican churches in Tobago. There's no way you know all the Anglicans. So he wanted to bridge the gap. And then parish priest, I'm glad you mentioned him, who is now the bishop of the Anglican Church. He was the priest in charge at St. Patrick Anglican at the time. And he said to we call him affectionately Father Phil. Well, bring them Mount Pleasant.
Yes, easy like that.
Easy like that. And the first gathering of pilgrims took place 25 years ago, 25 or 26 years ago at Mount Pleasant, and we've continued the tradition ever since.
Now, is this an entire day's event? Will there be lunch? You know, how are you encouraging the gathering of the pilgrims for that day?
So it is a whole day event. You come at 8. There will be a robust tea station to keep you satiated. There will be water available. Now it is at the Shaw Park complex, so understand that you have to leave your seats and go to the concession area to have your tea, your biscuit, what have you. There will be lunch, fellowship lunch provided. Once you are there, you will be counted. It's not a paid lunch. Lunch will be provided, and after lunch, there will be praise and thanksgiving. But I want to roll it back just a bit to hone in a little bit more on the healing elements of it. So the Anglican Church has been engaged in our Lenten mission. This service, all the parishes have had services, whether it's outside in the community or at their respective churches, weekly. And the format at St. Patrick has been, you go through the readings, the sermon is delivered, and there's an altar call immediately after in the atmosphere of praise and worship. That is the format that we will see on Sunday. So after we hear the sermon, we receive the word, then we'll be invited to come for our blessing. Our lay ministers, our lay evangelists and our deacons will be laying hands on persons who come forward to the altar, and our clergy, which encompasses our priests and bishop, will be anointing members of the congregation.
And you know, as you shared, I'm picturing it, and I think that is something special for anyone of a faith to experience, you know, the coming together, because for healing to take place, you have to believe.
Yes.
You know, that is also a very important element in the entire service. So I can just imagine, you know, and again, I'm glad you explained the gathering of the pilgrims, because for me that paints such a vivid picture, you know, people coming together of similar faith. You know, as you mentioned, you don't have to be Anglican, but it's of a faith. We believe in Jesus Christ and what he can do for us. So for our viewers, you have this opportunity to be a part of something special. We know there are many other activities, but you can't go wrong by attending something like this and presenting yourself for that very special blessing. I also want to say a special good morning to Mr. Keith Louis. You know, I always, sometimes when I check him, I call him my Tobago daddy, and you know, I know he presents sermons, and he would tell me he's preparing and he has to preach wherever, whether it's Lance for me, Palituve, etc. Now, you mentioned lunch as well, and 21 Anglican congregations, and you said lunch is being provided for all. How does the planning committee deal with the finances of an event like this? And can persons make donations and contributions still?
Yes, we invite donations. We ask for donations. Come forward with your donations to your nearest parish office, or if you're not a member of the church, you can contact the Tobago Regional Council office at 639-2972. That's 639-2972. Or the host parish for this event this year is St. Patrick Parish. You can contact the St. Patrick Parish office at 639-8832. That's 639-8832. Or send us an email at stpatrickparish.tobago@gmail.com. That's stpatrickparish.tobago@gmail.com. Or Anglican PMAD, Anglican PMAD at gmail.com. There's one thing I forgot to mention, which is very, very important. This event will be live streamed. So if you can't make it, you can tune into our live stream. I believe we had that flyer up on screen a while ago. You can scan the QR code or take a screenshot and save the link. But the reason I wanted to just zoom in on that a bit is because we will be offering live prayer. After the altar call, when the service has concluded, we go to our lunch break, but we want to ensure the people who are tuned in have an opportunity to send their prayer requests. So there'll be a number of lay evangelists taking over the set. I'll be hosting, but a number of them will take over the set at that time. We will read the prayer requests and make those special prayers for you live.
So we're using the technology, so if you cannot be there in person, it doesn't mean you will be left out of this beautiful service. You'd be left out from receiving that blessing. And if you cannot be there in person, you cannot make it to the live stream, you can go and look at it after. And that's the beauty about technology. And if you are there and you say, oh, I missed all the information Reynel gave, again, the technology, so you can play this back, you know, listen to it, take a little notes, so you know how to reach out to the various offices and persons where you can make your contribution. And that way you can also be a part of this awesome service. And Reynel, just before we wrap up this morning, again, you know, the focus is the fellowship, yes, but the healing aspect, that blessing, is so important to the entire day. How do you encourage persons who may doubt that this is even possible today?
Unbelief appears in so many areas, in so many forms. So to answer that, I want to take it outside of a spiritual context.
Yes.
I saw a video on Instagram this week, and in the video, someone was talking about how your mind limits you. So this guy, he was saying, I normally run marathons on my treadmill, and all I could do is 12K, because by the time I get to 10, I start to feel so fatigued. But there was one day that the tracker on the machine was not working, and I ran and I ran and I ran, and when I stopped, I realized I was at 22 kilometers.
Right.
So I would like people to remember that the limit is in your mind first and foremost, and that applies to every area of your life. Just be open. If you don't believe, be open. At least leave your doubt at the door. Come with an open mind, because we're praying for your unbelief as well. Our clergy has been praying for a month, asking God to anoint every single part of the human body. We know that it's from the crown of your head to the sole of your feet.
Yes.
So we're asking you to come, open heart, open mind, and allow God to work in you.
And I always say you have nothing to lose.
Exactly.
You have nothing to lose. The disbelief is there. Come and see what's happening.
Yes.
You know, you have nothing to lose. You can only gain.
Yes.
You can only gain. So as we wrap up this morning, I want to thank you for sharing with us. We, you know, at Tobago Updates Television, we wish you and the rest of the team success, and for all who would be attending this service. And, you know, I just want you to remind the viewers again where, when, and how they can be a part of this.
Gathering of the Pilgrims this Sunday, 15th March at the Shaw Park Complex from 8 a.m. Join us in person or via our live stream. All 21 churches within the Tobago region of the Anglican Church, and anyone else who is interested in healing, interested in being prayed for, interested in finding a place to fellowship, come join us. Our chief celebrant is the Right Reverend Claude Berkeley, Bishop of Trinidad and Tobago. Gathering of Pilgrims this Sunday, 8 a.m. at Shaw Park.
And on this note, viewers, we end our GMT this morning, and it is Friday, the start of our weekend here in this part of the world. And as I always remind us, you are your brother's keeper. Let's look out for each other. We have to all live here. And just before you go, I know many of you would have seen our first interview with the Amerindians this morning, and I must say thank you to Miss Wendy Prescott, who manages a Store Bay Holidays located on Store Bay Local Road, Crown Point, because although she runs a business, when she heard that these were going to be her guests for the week and what they were doing, where they were from, she told the organizer, you know what? They don't have to pay for their stay for the week. I would allow them to stay free of charge. So Miss Prescott, on behalf of the Amerindian tribe and the other organizers who would have been able to bring this group to Tobago, they say thank you, thank you. And of course, there were other sponsors, the Tobago Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, the Caribbean Union, and many other persons. But a special shout out to Miss Wendy Prescott, who decided not to charge, and this is her business, this is how she makes her livelihood, and she said, no, I understand their mission, why they are here, and I welcome them into my place. So thank you, Miss Prescott, and for all of you who do what you need to do in your corner of this world to make here a better place, thank you, and continue to inspire others to do likewise. So until we see again, that's it for us here on GMT Tobago Updates Television. Have a grand weekend.